Hello, my sweet and precious students. Welcome back. 7th graders. We're talking today about lesson 63, symbols of inclusion. We have been dealing with parentheses and doing things that are inside those parentheses, but sometimes we need double parentheses, and in this lovely book, we don't use double parentheses, we use what are called brackets and braces. Brackets look something like this, and braces look something like that. For those of you following along at home, page 383, second edition of Math 8-7 for Saxon. Let's get right into it and let's get started here. All right, for our first one, for example, and if you're in my class, you need to be writing down all of these notes, please and thank you. For our first example, all we have to do in here is we take a look and we're following our order of operations, meaning please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, we do our parentheses first. We work from the inside out though, starting with this guy right here. That's gonna be a 5, okay? So I can just notate that up there, and so I end up with 50 minus, and now that I've gotten rid of my parentheses here, I can change these brackets into a parenthesis if you want. You can also just leave them as a bracket, that's fine too. Plus, and we said 10 minus 5 is 5. There we go. So now we do the stuff that's in the parenthesis right here. We get 50 minus 20 plus 5 gives me 25. 50 minus 25 gives me 25. So my answer is 25. All right, let's take a look at this guy. This one has parentheses, but it also has absolute value. That's what this thing is right here. Absolute value. So we treat our absolute value like we would parentheses. We do everything that we can on the inside of it, and then at the very end, we find our absolute value. In this case, 4 minus 6 is negative 2. So we get 12 minus 8 minus the absolute value of negative 2 plus 2. Now, the absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. So we're going to do 12 minus parentheses 8 minus absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. So we're going to put 2 there plus 2. All right, so you have to go in order on this. I see a lot of kids make a mistake where they say, okay, 8 minus 2 plus 2, and then they do, oh, 2 plus 2 is 4. You can't do that. You got to go in order. So I'm going to jump this up here so we have some room here. So 12 minus, now 8 minus 2 is 6. So we get 6 plus 2. And then we have 12 minus 6 plus 2 is 8. 12 minus 8 equals 4. So our answer should be 4. Okay, so with some of these, we also have a division bar. This is our division bar or fraction bar, right? What we want to do is do everything on top, everything on bottom, and then we worry about doing the division. So in this case, we want on the top here, the first thing we want to do, remember you always multiply and divide before you add and subtract. So we want to do this part right here, that 5 times 6. So I'm going to rewrite this guy. 4 plus 5 times 6 gives me 30 minus 7 divided by 10 minus, and now I'm going to do the parentheses on the bottom because I want to do that first. So 10 minus 1. That gives me, now I know I'm going to have 9 on the bottom, so I'm just going to do that right off the bat. And then 4 plus 30 is 34, minus 7 is 27. 27 divided by 9, that gives me 3. So my answer for that example would be 3. All right, that was example number 3. Practice problems on the next page. I don't know what I did with this. Oh, here they are. All right, so we got our practice problems. So go ahead and do these. Make sure that they are at the top of your homework. Here's that. If you want to go ahead and pause the video, do those, come on back and make sure you got them right. Okay, so for this practice problem, we want to work our way from the inside out for these parentheses, right? So we know 10 minus 2 is going to be 8. So we get 30 minus, and I'm going to change these, since I've done the parentheses, I'm going to change this into a parenthesis now. 40 minus, and we decided that 10 minus 2 is 8. Now we're going to do 30 minus, and we're going to do our parentheses like we normally would. 40 minus 8 is 32. 30 minus 32 is negative 2. Negative 2. All right, over here, we're gonna do 100 minus 3. Be very careful, guys. It's not 100 minus 3. You don't wanna do 97. You can't do that because the operation with this is 3 times all this garbage here. You gotta do that part first. But before we can even do any of that, we gotta work our way out from our parentheses. So 6 minus 2 is 4. So we end up with, and I'm gonna change these to parentheses now that I'm done with my brackets, 2 times 6 minus 2, which is 4. So I'm still going to do the 10 or 100 minus 3 times 2 times 4, which gives me 8. So I still have 100 minus, and instead of 3 times 8, I'm going to do 24 here. That gives me 76. 76. All right, guys, let's look at our next one. Okay, so again, you want to do everything on top, everything on bottom before you go moving around. I see a multiplication here and a multiplication here. Oh, that was terrible. I just went right through my 9 there. So I end up with 10 plus 72 minus 7 over 30 minus 4 minus 3 plus 2 equals. Now upstairs we get 10 plus 72, which is 82, minus 7 is 82 minus 7 is 75. And then downstairs we get 30 minus 4, which would give me 26, minus 3 would give me 23, plus 2 more would give me 25. So 75 divided by 25. 25 goes into 75 3 times. Think about if you have quarters, right? You would have 3 quarters if you have 75 cents. Okay, let's look at D here. Again, we're going to want to do the parentheses stuff first. So let's just rewrite it without those parentheses now. So plus 2 times, because remember, if there's no operation shown between like the parentheses and this number, it's a multiplication. 3 plus 4 is 7 minus 5 over 10 minus 9 times 8 minus 7 is 1. So we're going to do this multiplication and this multiplication in our next step. 1 plus 14 minus 5 over 10 minus 9. Okay, so 1 plus 14 is 15. 15 minus 5 is 10. Over 10 minus 9 is 1. So our answer is 10. That equals 10. All right. So for E, we're going to do these. Remember, we're going to use our absolute value just like we would parentheses. So we're going to work our way from the outside in. Go ahead and copy down the rest of it. Plus 3, 8 minus. And so we're going to do this guy first. Absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. Okay, our next step is to do our parentheses, this thing right here. So we get 12 plus 3. 8 minus 2 gives me 6, and again, there's no symbol here shown between those, so it's multiplication. Our next step is not to do 12 plus 3 is 15, absolutely not. No, we always do our multiplication first. So 12 plus 18. When we get that, we end up with 30. All right, guys, if you have any questions at all, let me know. Otherwise, great work, and I will see you in class.